So welcome to the EVerest Steering Committee call of January 23 already, first one for this year. What's on the agenda? So short intro of what is EVerest, short quick recap, then what is new, what is next, and then what is currently requested by the community. So for people that are new to this call or watching the recording, if you watch this recording and you know whatever it is, please skip to the part that is where we discuss what is new, because you probably already know this part. But for somebody new watching this short introduction of what is EVerest, EVerest is part of the Linux Foundation energy landscape. A big group of companies and organizations all together building software, open source software for the green electricity grid, everything open source. And we, as EVerest, are here down there. We are the gateway towards the vehicle for EV charging. E-mobility is complex. There's a lot of parties involved. It's fragmented. A lot of companies are building EV chargers. A lot of companies are playing a role in this industry. So you have the car manufacturers, you have the manufacturers of the charging stations, you have payment providers, you have utilities that have interest here, and you have the charging providers that manage the networks. There's a lot of different technologies, a lot of different protocols. What we want to do is make this much more reliable and much more open. So then if we look at what is EVerest, it's basically a full software stack for a charging station. So it's when I just joined, I was like, oh, this is just an OCPP stack for a charging station. No, it's a full stack for all the software that you might need for a public or a private charging station. Contains all the protocols, all the software you might need to build this. It's very customizable. It can support a lot of different use cases. Marco, anything you want to add on this? No. Yeah, EVerest connects to a lot of services. Those can be energy services. So it's the grid, the electricity grid has requirements on a charger. It's home. There's home solar energy that provides energy, but also data might have input on a charger on when there's solar you want to charge, or you don't want to charge when there's no solar energy available. There might be dynamic pricing inputs coming from the grid. A user might have references on the charger. There's the CPO that manages the charging station, especially if it's a public one that might have input. Then we look at the car that might have requirements and inputs to a charger. There might be other chargers around, so together they have to share a grid connection and the energy that's available. So all of this is managed by a lot of different protocols. So you see some already here on this slide, but there's even more. So a lot of different protocols to manage. Yeah, can we fix this by can't we fix it by adding another standard? No, of course not. That would just create more standards. So we make one set of software. We strive to make one piece of open software that solves all of this by implementing all the protocols that are needed. If you want to get started with EVerest, you can reach out to Pionix. We have a dev kit that makes it really easy to build a charging station in a couple of minutes. You can just load the software in there. The hardware support, the hardware are there to make this work. So yeah, send an email to us if you want to get started with EVerest this way. Yeah, EVerest doesn't only work on our own demonstration hardware. Pionix, Texas Instruments, ChargeByte, all our platforms that are already supported. So we want to be as hardware agnostic as possible. Yeah, and then Lily, as EVerest, we are really active with partners and customers. So yeah, a lot of standardization bodies that we're talking to, a lot of hardware suppliers we are working with, academies that we are working with. Yeah, broad network and big broad community working on EVerest. Then we get to the part where we talk about what's happening now at the moment. So what's new? Kai, can I give you the word?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, during the last month, we were hard at work to restructure our OCPP library into different parts so we can factor out some common functionality between OCPP 1.6 and OCPP 2.0.1. This also involves updating the code generator so we can properly generate the OCPP 1.6 and 2.0.1 messages. We generalized a lot of our WebSocket handling and our message queue and types. So we basically transformed this library to have a good foundation to start our implementation of OCPP 2.0.1. We already have a very basic implementation right now, which is able to send a boot notification to charging point management system. But there's a lot more to come over the coming weeks and months here. So, next slide, please. And on the ISO 15118 part of EVerest, a colleague of mine implemented first Plug&Charge extension of our ISO 15118 charger interface there. Work on starting to implement ISO 15118-20 has started, and there's an upcoming packet sniffer module in EVerest with which it is possible to capture all these V2G messages between the vehicle and the charger and save them into a file for later analysis. So, next slide, please. And
that's for chargebyte. Moritz or Hauke?
Yes, I'm presenting this. So there's, since we last presented, I think in October, there's been a lot of work ongoing. This is the integration of the original chargebyte high-level charging stack into the EVerest infrastructure. So the V2G module, it's already been ongoing for quite a few weeks now. The ISO path with AC and DC charging sessions are already successful. This is in the software in the loop against the JS car simulator, with the infrastructure shown on the right hand side. A lot of adaptations had to be done and some to the EVerest interfaces, but that seems to be going quite well. If you go on to the next steps on the next slide, I can do some changes to that. Next steps, testing on real hardware. Today that actually worked. So the EVerest stack worked on the AC path against a charge control P. That's our EV stack, an EV controller. So we had a real controller test here with the ISO integration, and I'm told also switching the switches and so on worked properly. The next step there will be DC, because it needs. I think there's some other requirement for that, but that's ongoing and going quite well. Then, as desired, the DIN communication, which I understand Rise V2G doesn't support, so that's an interesting goal. That will be next. And before we go on to the EXI codec, this will be also integrated in the next few days experimentally. The app handshake coder and decoder is ready from our side. We're creating proper code to replace OpenV2G, and that will be experimentally integrated just to see if it still works without regressions.
Cool. Nice.
Yes, next steps. Now we're with the EXI codec that I just mentioned. Also, since October, quite a lot has happened. So we are already decoding quite a lot, and the encoders have started. We had to fix a lot of corner cases and special cases in basically in the analyzer, such as for the handling of attributes, of the handling of optional so many XML constructs which are being used, which lead to peculiar handling within XE, the ordering of event IDs and things like that. So we tripped across those while building decoder and encoder, and noticing that we either cannot decode the given streams, or that we, by review, we find something obviously missing. So we've gone through most of those, and we've identified a few which are still open, which we plan to fix in the next few weeks. Then on the creation of the grammars and events, we had some major issues there in the previous commits. We have fixed those. There's still some minor issues in there, which I'm working on right now. And that should probably be final. So it looks like, at least from looking at it, 90 to 95%, that looks okay for the decoding path. And it will work for the encoding path as well, but the encoder hasn't made quite the same progress yet as we've been working on the first bullet there. And if you go on to the next slide, that's what I said. The decoder has most data types covered. The encoder has started. The app handshake, as I said, complete and functional. And the newest progress we are making, Anton has provided us with some code for the low-level processing of the XE types, where we originally used the LGPL licensed code, which we need to replace to comply to the Apache 2 license. Christoph is working on integrating that and expanding that. It looks quite good. The app handshake is working well, and we are already using that to expand the decoder with more basic types. And as soon as we have the initial version of that ready to merge, then the GitHub repository will go public, and it looks like we can do that at the beginning of February, and then work on from there with public visibility.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your update. Kai, this one for you.
Yeah, I'll continue here. So as we talked through the last two TSCs, we've done 2 test releases or source code releases of EVerest in November and December last year, and we've just today released the first proper monthly release of EVerest and EVerest Core on GitHub. And from now on, these source code releases and probably also binary releases in the coming months will now coincide with this monthly TSC meeting. And if you go on the next slide, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight a few of the improvements, obviously, because of the Christmas and the end of year. Not too many things have been merged over the last couple of weeks, but some of the highlights is that you can now selectively exclude certain modules by their name or collectively by their programming language. For example, if you don't want to have the Python or JavaScript modules in there, you can just specify a CMake command parameter during configure time, and it will just be excluded from the build. Anton improved the out-of-core build support if you want to build an EVerest module that you don't want to include into EVerest Core for some organizational purposes. And there's been work on getting some alternative hardware going for the power line communication modem. And so we have now a configurable timeout for one of the parameters that is needed there. Like I mentioned earlier, the split of OCPP 1.6 and 2.0.1 also involved splitting up the modules in an EVerest Core. So you will find the 1.6 version OCPP module will just be called OCPP for the moment, and there's a new module for the 2.0.1 integration, so we can work on these things in parallel. There was also a bug fix merged, so certain cars that really want to speak Slack as fast as possible, which is totally fine from the norm, will now properly work with EVerest as well. And yeah, we just added an interface to be able for drivers to implement the proximity pilot ampacity reading there for when you want to build a charging station without a fixed cable to it. And just a few days ago, we landed a fix for the off module sometimes not properly transitioning to available when an error happened in the last charging session, and that should be fixed right now. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say here.
Thanks for your update, Kai. So what's next? Yeah, roadmap. A lot of things we still want to do. Yeah, a lot of this also depends on priorities given by the community, by people that need something earlier or quicker or new stuff. So yeah, so short term, we have currently OCPP 1.6 Plug&Charge on the list to do that in C++. Work already started also on OCPP 2.0.1. Haven't checked when the release date of 2.1 is. I know that they're planning something. So also that work is started. Then the C++ based version of ISO 15118-2 and DINSpec. Chargebyte is working on that. Then C++ based XE parser. I think also that is you guys in Chargebyte. Later this year, more advanced energy management, so much more smart charging use cases. IEEE 2030.5, OpenADR, EEBus, and also ISO 15118-20, the newer version, is on the roadmap. Next month it's a FOSDEM, big event in Brussels in February. We will be hosting an entire track there with Linux Foundation Energy. We will be giving a talk. This is virtually and online as well. So if you have a chance, yeah, join us. Then next event that we will be at is the State of Open conference in London, also in February. Marco will be there, so please join us, have a chat with us if you have any questions or remarks or just want to get to know us. Next technical steering call is end of February, in 4 weeks. So please join us. And now it's time for us to discuss.